Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Radio Mythoverse for August the 2nd, 2021. So it's August. That means it is month 8. That means we are 1 month away from the fall and Q4. So, last month of summer for 2021. Good evening, everyone. I'm Dan, father, provider, pa, Renaissance man in training, editor-in-chief of the Mythoverse. With us tonight is Brett McGowan, our head of community outreach and PR, and a panel of creators that we will be talking to. We have a very exciting thing to announce tonight. So, being that it is month 8, what have we gotten done recently? Well, let's have a look-see, shall we? Okay. First and foremost, we just completed the Changeling and Urban Fairy Tale Issue 2 campaign successfully. We managed to score the highest number of backers for a single book thus far, which makes me very, very happy. I love to see that upward trend. Love to see new people hopping on board, checking out our stories. Made a good amount of money too, and the art is progressing very well. We're expecting it to be art complete this month, and then we'll get it lettered up and sent out. So, Mr. Brett, how you feeling about your book?
Just happy that it's almost finished and we got funded.
That's it? You're not excited to see how it turns out?
I've seen it every step of the way so far.
So you don't have to see it, you've lived it. Gotcha. Well, so yeah, that's Changeling and Urban Fairy Tale. It's headed your way. It's the third of our full-length launch titles that we will have fulfilled this year. The first being Mythics Issue 2, then Toby Kroger Issue 2, and then Changeling and Urban Fairy Tale Issue 2. So, all very good. So, in addition to that, over on our Patreon, we have our own little content pipeline going there. We just put out Chapter 1 of our new serial racing manga, Triple Crown, 25 brand new pages, following the story of young Skip Sparks and her quest to achieve the pinnacle of motor racing. The first chapter was very well received. I've received a number of different individuals telling me that they were not race fans, but they still love the story, and that's exactly what I was hoping to hear. Good storytelling transcends the subject matter, especially manga. They seem to have a knack for that. They can write their books about anything they want, and I seem to enjoy it because they have this little thing called strong characterization, and they have a way of making me care about even things I wouldn't think I would care about. And so far, that's what we're getting from Triple Crown, so very happy to hear that. In addition to the 25 pages, we also have this new 8-page bonus comic coming out. That's what I have up on the screen right now. Skip's going to be talking a little bit about the car that was featured in Chapter 1, the Delara IR05, which was the chassis that the Indy Car Racing Series used that year for the Indy 500 and for all of its street courses as well. So if you're curious to know a little bit more about the car or just to see more Skip until Chapter 2 starts, that's well on its way. And I put out that preview, the title page, for everyone to see. And if you happen to want to check out our other books, our other stories, there's lots of different ways you can do that. mythomerch.com/comics. You can pick up digital or print copies of all the books that we've released so far. If you'd like to preview them, we have them up on globalcomics.com. That's Global Comics with an X, /a/mythoverse-comics. And you can get previews of all of our books there. So, but that isn't really what we're here to talk about. What we're here to talk about now is something entirely new and something entirely exciting. We got 3 folks on the panel with us tonight to talk about it. And without any further ado, I'm just going to go ahead and hit you with a little video that we just put up. And that'll get you into the mood. Let's do it.
All right.
And so it is that in the month preceding that harvest and Sabbath, the Shade, that malignant keeper of lore, ventures into the world of man to collect new tales. Failing to find any of merit, he twists the bonds of fate to create his own, leaving gores carved with grotesque images of the unfolded events. Nicholas Stant, Unusual Folklore.
Yeah, and there you have it. Hallowed Harvest Volume 2. That is our teaser trailer for the second volume in our Halloween anthology. We launched a successful campaign for that last year, and it was a very well received volume. We like doing it so much that we're going to do it again. And I have here with me James Stern, Nebel, and Dylan. Three of the creators are going to be bringing us some brand new stories for the Halloween season in Hallowed Harvest Volume 2. What's up, guys?
Not much.
The ceiling. Ah, I'll leave now.
Oh, I get it because it's above us. Okay.
Ah.
Oh man. I thought terrible jokes were Dad's territory. I should be saying that. Anyway, so James Nebel, James Nebel and Dylan, welcome. I'm really glad to have you on with us tonight. And as you can see, we've got something exciting in the oven cooking. And you three are three of those that are, not all of them, but I would dare say that you are three of the primary ones, driving forces behind the great stories we're going to be seeing. So how's everyone doing? And let's talk a little bit about Hallowed Harvest Volume 2.
Yeah.
So who would like to start us off?
I can go first.
All right, Mr. James, fire away.
Yeah, so like Dan was saying, last year we successfully created and crowdfunded a set of Halloween stories set within the universe we've been working together to create here at the Mythoverse. And it was well received. Saw a couple of positive reviews floating around, and there were initial discussions that like, could we do this as an annual thing? It's something I would really love to continue doing every year. And it was earlier in the spring, I think, that we decided, yeah, we'll go for a second volume. And so we had some meetings, collected some creators, and we have 5 or 6 stories in the pipeline. I'm super excited.
Me too, and I'm spoiled. I get to see all the work in progress pieces in our private channel on the Discord, so I can definitely say I'm excited too. I was a huge fan of the stories that were put out last year, and this year, James, you are actually writing a prose piece, correct?
Yes, it is the product of 3 months of doing nothing but reading Lovecraft before going to bed.
Well, speaking of that, in that lovely trailer that you just witnessed, narrated by Lenore King, who did an absolutely stellar job capturing the tone of the narration that we were after, the piece that she was reading was actually part of your story, wasn't it?
Yeah, so without going too much into detail, one of the goals of my story, other than just telling a fun Halloween story, is to establish the Samhain Shade, which was the kind of mascot character for the first issue, into an actual entity in the Mythoverse. And so, in traditional Lovecraft fashion, I decided that I wanted to start my story with a little clipping from a fictitious book, and I used that to set the stage for the Shade as a character.
Now the shade that you just mentioned. Let me swap back over to the video, and I have it paused on the image that will be adorning the cover of Hallowed Harvest Volume 2. Is this the shade right here?
Yes, the Silent Shade, the malignant keeper of lore.
So, as we learned in the trailer, he loves stories. He loves to hear stories. He loves to experience stories. And if there aren't any that satisfy him, then he kind of bends reality to make his own, doesn't he?
Maybe.
He's like me,
It's-
but slightly more evil. Only slightly.
True. Yes, he's like Nebel. He enjoys stories, and he will ruin everyone's lives if he doesn't get good ones.
Speaking of
But
Nebel, the shade's design was Nebel's design, correct?
originally, yeah. So he did the cover for the first issue, and it turned out really well. And so that was kind of the initial design. This one, however, I believe was done by Dylan.
Yes, Dylan did this one. I can definitely tell.
Yep.
Definitely tell his style, and if not his style, then his signature. But the original design of the Silent Shade was Nebel's. Now,
Correct.
on the first cover, the shade is surrounded by hovering pumpkins, jack-o'-lanterns that are carved with patterns that represent each story. Now, that is alluded to in that little passage that we heard over the trailer, where he carves them into gourds. Correct?
Yeah, so the way the shade kind of operates as Nebel and I have developed is he's kind of the embodiment of humanity's thirst for narrative. Obviously, it's more specifically through the lens of Halloween, given what he's the mascot of, but it still generalizes well. So he thirsts for new stories. He wants to hear new stories. He wants to be enraptured by the narrative. And if he doesn't get that from himself, like a person, he's going to make his own. It's just he has a he's not as nice about creating his own stories as a person, maybe.
Like, if you're gonna make him do it, then he's gonna make you pay for it.
Oh,
Listen,
yes.
it's gotta be real, alright? And what's more real than it happening to actual people?
Speaking of happening to actual, Neville, your story last time around was one of those stories that takes you by surprise if you're not prepared for the type of story that it is. Neville has this way of presenting these truly macabre scenarios with adorable character designs. So when the stuff actually starts getting real, you're like, "Whoa, I wasn't prepared for this." That tends to be the reaction I got from Neville's story last time around. So can we expect more of the same this time?
You can expect something like... Well, actually, you know what? I'm not gonna tell you what to expect.
Okay.
That would be cheating.
Well, so your story last time involved a Halloween maze and things that took place in the Halloween maze. Can you at least tell us what from 50,000 feet, what your the premise of your new story is?
It's a ghost story.
Okay.
It's a jungle ghost story. Don't hear those a lot, do you?
No, in fact, let me scrub over to that part of the video real quick. Okay, so we have this panel, which is taken from one of the works in progress. And he says, I've got a ghost story about tell us about what he's saying there.
Well, the Tao Mona refers to a specific kind of ancestor spirit that's revered by the Chamorro Islander people from the Mariana Islands.
Okay.
Specifically, this story takes place in Guam.
Mm-hmm.
Those of you who may have served in the military know Guam as a pretty crucial holding in like south of the Philippines and Japan. And it's got some pretty rich lore that tends to be overlooked as far as Islander lore tends to go.
Mm-hmm.
And they got a certain concept with their ancestor spirits that I really like in the way they characterize them, is that rather than being these sorts of wise guardians of the rising generation that have supernatural knowledge and wisdom to pass down to those who respect them. They're basically ornery old people with supernatural powers.
Basically, this preternatural version of "Get Off My Lawn."
Yes, and if you don't get off their lawn, they afflict you with horrible diseases and leave hand-shaped bruises on your chest.
They sound lovely. So, what's interesting?
And it doesn't take much to piss them off. Like entering the jungle without asking permission. And one of the classics that I remember my grandfather telling me, because I'm Chamorro and my grandfather was Chamorro. One of the things that he told me is that if you were going to like piss on a tree, you had to ask the Tau Mona permission, or they'd put the whammy on you.
So basically, they are spiritual versions of the old lady that would get upset if you didn't take off your shoes before entering the house.
Exactly.
Oh, nice. So that's exciting.
They're ornery and irritable.
So that's a concept that a lot of readers wouldn't be familiar with. So I'm really glad that you're taking this tack and putting a little bit more sunlight on this oft not used little part of human mythology. So that's really, really cool. I'm glad that you're doing that. I'm glad you're bringing that perspective to this anthology that we might not have gotten otherwise. So
right, especially because like. And by the way, I'm absolutely not going to take this in the direction you might think it's going.
That tends to be your speciality.
Oh, speciality.
Speciality.
But yeah, just as a fun little tidbit, last night, I have this sort of tendency when I run tabletop RPGs, is that like in the last like quarter of the campaign, I'll just pull the rug under my players and they'll just like curse the day I was born and just mouth under their breath, "You author." That's kind of what I do in my stories, so, or at least in my horror stories.
Gotcha. Real quick, I just wanted to make a note that Jeremy Lott's in the chat, and I'm really glad to have you, Jeremy. And Fatherhood Round 2 is taking up a lot of your time. Trust me, I know. Wait till you get to Round 3.
Isn't by round 3 it's a lot easier?
It can be. It's not necessarily true. It really depends on the temperament of your child. Like, our number 3 has been an absolute delight by comparison to our middle child, who was much more of a handful. So, for me, it's been a pleasant experience, but there's still a great deal more multitasking going on. And Neostar is in the chat. Thank you for coming, Neostar. As always, pleasure to have you. So anyway, so that sounds exciting there, Neville. Looking forward to seeing how this story pans out. Maze of Dolls.
I'm pretty excited. I've kept my mouth shut about working on this for the past 4 months.
Well, you're gonna get a chance to let everyone have a look at it really soon. I think Maze of Dolls was one of the absolute highlights of the last volume, so this is going to be a good one. So,
all right, thank you.
Awesome, yeah. So, Mr. James, what are you at liberty to say about your contribution?
Let's see. Well, murder. That's what I will say. It's a story about murder. Like I had mentioned, it's very heavily inspired, at least stylistically, by Lovecraft. It's actually meant to be a pastiche, so it's mimicking the style in homage. And so with that, my goal was kind of it's a Neville posted in the chat. It's a story about murder. Yes. The goal was to kind of say, here's a set of events. Here's the mundane. Man, Neville, come on. Don't celebrate murder. That's not what we do. So the goal was to say, here's a mundane set of events. Here's the logical explanation. Here's what normal people have the blessing of thinking. But here's the underlying circumstances of the event that make it awful. I think within the first paragraph, I stated there's a set of events that exists, but then there's this little bit of extra that I know that kind of messes with what everyone thinks about the universe, which is something that Lovecraft did a lot. It's like, oh well, there's these couple of things that were like widely publicized, but I have the insider scoop that says, nope, this stuff's all messed up.
And I have had a chance to read it, and you absolutely are correct. It's certainly a pastiche of Lovecraft. If you like Lovecraft's prose, you're going to enjoy this. It definitely does evoke the flow of his writing, and also the presentation of his writing. But it is wholly distinct in every other respect. So.
Yeah, you were not getting any tentacle squid monsters.
Yeah, it may sound like Lovecraft wrote it, but this is not something that he has written or will necessarily have ever written. So this is something entirely new otherwise. So nice. So that's good. I love having the mix of the prose with the visual. Kind of puts a little bit of something for everyone in there. And I'm not going to make any promises, but we might be able to also deliver an audiobook version of that short if everything works out. So and if we can, then it'll definitely be spruced up with spooky music and sound effects and all the rest. So it'll be a lot of fun to hear that. So Mr. Dylan, tell us a little bit about what you're cooking up. Let me scrub over to the page that we have in the trailer. There we go. So what we have here is a sample page from your story. What can you tell us about this without giving away too much?
Oh, sorry, I'm getting used to the push to talk function because that's what it's set at.
Did you take your finger off the button there, Dylan?
Yeah, sorry. Okay, this thing really sucks. Okay, so basically, it's another vampire story. Brain fart. Yeah, it's another vampire story this year, but I really wanted to take it further. I'm finally introducing my Helen character, which I've been advertising for. I've been. My finger keeps slipping. Jesus. It's like this push to talk button doesn't work. Yeah, so I've been advertising Helen for a few years now, and I finally get to introduce her in the story, and it's much more. The setting very much works for this sort of dark atmosphere, and it's sort of a course correction from last year because I mean I liked what I put out last year, but I think I could go further. You know what I mean?
Well, absolutely.
My story last year was more action oriented. This year it's going pure horror, like gore and everything. It's gonna be really awesome. I think overall the stories this year are gonna be a lot darker.
Well, that's what we want for Halloween. We want dark. That's the whole point of deliberately trying to creep us ourselves out at that time of year. So.
Yeah, I'm really excited. And this will obviously continue into my main story I've been developing for a long time.
Do you want to spend a little bit of time talking about Helen in that story?
You mean in the Hallowed Harvest story, or?
Well, the Hallowed Harvest story features Helen and is a little bit of her backstory. But for those that aren't familiar with Helen, do you want to briefly tell us who she is and what her place in the setting is?
Okay, Helen, she The idea for her was that she is this woman from the 1300s that uh, gets turned into a vampire and immediately gets shoved into a coffin. That's gonna happen in the story, but it's the other events of the story that you're gonna have to see for yourself and how gruesome I'm gonna go for. And yeah, she's going to. Okay, in the main story, she'll appear in. She's gonna awake in the not too distant future from now. Um, the story details are still in development. It's it's been an interesting uh, uh, sorry.
Are you still having problems with the push to talk button?
Yes.
All right. Well, if you want to just talk in short bursts, then if that'll be easier for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Just go ahead and skip to something else.
All right, I'll put you out of your misery with that push to talk button. Apologize for that. Didn't realize it was that difficult. But anyway, so this is a sample page from Dylan's story here. It focuses on his character Helen, a vampire who became who she was back in the 1300s, and she will have a part in the Mythoverse in the somewhat distant future. The three main titles, Adobe Kroger, Mythics, and Changeling, take place in the recent past or in the present day. Helen comes in a little bit later after the characters' arcs have completed and they're a bit older. And it's been in development for a while, and there's a lot of exciting things along the way there. And we've been doing a lot of work, Dylan and I, to make sure everything lines up chronologically when she gets introduced and when her origin story begins. So I think when it's finally all come together, it's going to be quite an interesting read and a great addition to the Mythoverse. So speaking of additions to the Mythoverse, aside from you three, you said we had 6 stories in the pipeline. Are you able to divulge anything about the other creators that are working on the remaining stories?
Yeah, I can. I'm comfortable giving names, not necessarily what they're writing on, because I want them to explain in their own time.
Of course.
So we got myself, Neville, and Dylan. Salem is working on another prose story. So he wrote the Blackfire Covenant for last year. We also have Forrester working on a story.
Oh, I loved Forrester's story last time, Port of Call.
Oh yeah, that was a treat. That was a like perfect like pub side ghost story. I loved it so much.
Yeah, it's something
And
that you
his
would find.
ability,
Yeah.
Go ahead. His ability to replicate Golden Age art is just mwah.
Yeah, second to none. When I saw that art there, I immediately commissioned him to do a parody hostess ad, and let me go ahead and get that up real quick. Like you said, he has a knack for replicating Golden Age art, not just in how the art came together and how it was presented, but and how it looked after it was printed. And he goes through great pains to make it appear as though whatever he is drawing was actually printed on a newsprint magazine 40 years ago. So I'm going to go ahead and swap back over. So here's what I'm talking about here. This was a parody ad that I will be putting into our comics at random moments, so you never know when you're going to see it in the future. But for those of you who are my age or just a little bit younger, you probably saw these all over the place in Archie comics, in Marvel comics, what have you. They were a series of ads for Hostess snack cakes that licensed major comic book characters and made one-page short stories, adventures around the theme of, like the Pebbles commercials, where a bad guy would want to get the snacks, or they would distract the bad guy with the snacks. So in this one, we have Adobe and Althea realizing that Mason, the crazy cultist from Adobe Kroger Living Commander, has kidnapped Sasha, which is, of course, everyone's favorite redheaded MILF, the mother to Maeve. And wacky hijinks ensue. They try to stop Mason. They can't. And they realize that they can distract him with Waitress Fruit Pies. And Waitress Fruit Pies is, of course, a send-up of Hostess, and it is the brand that we are creating in-universe to represent Hostess. And we have dozens of these such brands. Many of them, in fact, were showcased in Triple Crown Chapter 1. But anyway, as you can see here, if you were to zoom in on this art, you see the imperfections on the color. You see sometimes the lettering smudges or bleeds into adjacent letters. And that's something that you would see when there are printing errors or printing imperfections on newsprint and the 4-color process printing that they had to do back then. So if I didn't know that this was drawn recently, I would have thought that it actually did exist in a comic back in the 70s or early 80s. So yeah, Forrester definitely has a knack for this sort of thing. And he brought this look to his story Port of Call last year, and it was just fantastic. And I do believe that he is doing more of the same this year. So really happy to have him back on the Hallowed Harvest creative team and to bring us some new stuff. So with all that being said, what kind of a timeline are we looking at to get this production wrapped and have it made available to people that are waiting to read Volume 2?
So, in terms of overall timeline, you can expect a crowdfunding campaign to go live September 1st through October 1st, with the goal of delivering the physical goods by Halloween. To accomplish this, I've set a soft deadline for my team, September 1st. That's the idealized, like, if everyone gets stuff in by this date, everything will be super smooth. It will be fantastic. And then I've set a hard deadline of September 11th. So that's like, if you get it in by here, we can make it work. If you can't get it in by here, the story won't go in. And that's just to cut down production time and make sure we have like a hard date that we can start finalizing production and getting stuff into print.
Right. Yeah, we've gone over this, you and I, and made sure that our timeline was realistic. And as I said, if we have the print files all set by a certain date, then from experience, we absolutely can turn it around in enough time to get everyone to print by Halloween. So far, so good. I think that we are going to be able to deliver this on time for Halloween, and everyone will have a brand new set of spooky stories to read just in time. And by all means, if you want to, I was thinking of actually including a tier where they can order additional copies to hand out as trick-or-treat items, which would be an absolutely delightful thing to see.
Oh, that's...
Yeah.
Please do, Dan, please.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
I want to traumatize more children.
That's actually a good point that Noble makes there. Traumatized children. So an interesting thing about Volume 2 is that it will be a lot darker than Volume 1. Volume 1's tone overall, I'd say, was like a light PG-13 if you kind of averaged it across the board. We had things on the scale of Maze of Dolls, which is just awful and horrible in all the best ways. But then you also had My Story Halloween Traditions, which is just nice and wholesome. Oh, look at these kids, they're just having a good time, all safe and happy. This year, things are going to be a little less happy all around. I know My Story is definitely darker. It went from being kids having fun in a cemetery to murder. And it seems like all around things are just darker, which is really fun because I think that's reflected unintentionally in the cover we're doing this year. Dylan's cover is more evocative. It's less cartoony and more just like spooky, and I think that will convey the overall tone of Volume 2 very well.
Yeah, I agree, and I say why not? As long as we let everyone know, like, hey, this is not appropriate for very young children, but the older kids might like it, and why not? The parents might like it too, especially if they're comic book fans. And what better way to get them into the spirit than to give them something a little bit different rather than just candy? Hey, here's some stories. Go have fun.
It's very appropriate for young children if you want to scare the pants off them.
Hey, to be
Yes,
fair,
Neville, we know you hate children.
to be fair, children's stories used to be a lot darker because they were cautionary tales about like don't lie or you'll fucking die.
Or don't listen to the voices in your head.
Anyway, so yeah, children's stories used to be a lot darker, and I listened to them all, read them all, and I'm fine. Or am I? Anyway, so what else can we talk about here? We can't really speak to the other stories because the creators aren't present, but we got 6 stories. We have 2 prose stories, right? That's 2 prose stories, and the
Yeah, I think the 6 count was wrong. It's 5. It's myself, Salem are the 2 pro stories, and then we have the 3 comics from Neville, Dylan, and Forrester.
Okay, great. Well, I know for a fact that you guys have had, a year to hone your craft since the last volume, and the fact that it's going in a slightly darker direction means it will be, distinct from the previous volume in that way. That will be very good. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm ready to start getting excited for this. Not only is this my favorite time of year, it's when you start hearing like fall is when you start hearing on the radio those Charlie Brown themes, from the Charlie Brown Thanksgiving special. And whenever I hear that little piano start, I'm like, the year's almost over. It's gonna start getting cooler. I'm living down here in Florida. That means the weather will be tolerable for once. And that's absolutely my favorite time of year, and Halloween is a huge part of that, especially because my daughter's of the age now where she loves to dress up, and last year she actually dressed up as Susie from Dead by Daylight, and I dressed up as Sackhead Jason, and we went as a pair, and it was just the most fun I've had in years. So can't wait for that, can't wait for this, and Halloween is just one of my favorite times of the year. So.
Oh yeah, I think not specifically Charlie Brown, but the kind of emotion you're explaining was a lot of the impetus for the original Hallowed Harvest. I had just finished watching some horror movies, and I was feeling that exact mood. Like, man, this is my favorite time of year. This is when all like the fun, weird stuff comes out on television and on radio, and like, oh, I love it so much, and I wanted to contribute to that kind of history. Maybe I'm not sure that's the best word, but we'll go with it. Contribute to that kind of history and that ethos within the Mythoverse.
Yes, Neo says whatever happened to the cautionary tales. Yeah, like the boy who cried wolf was basically like, don't lie or you'll die, because back when that story was written, that was actually a huge thing, because there literally were wolves at the door. Let me see. An Attack of the Great Pumpkin. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's been done somewhere, probably on Robot Chicken, where Linus gets devoured by the Great Pumpkin.
Actually,
So we have a message.
That did happen.
Yeah.
That actually did happen. Been on Robot Chicken, except it wasn't Linus. It was almost everybody except for Charlie Brown, with the twist being that after Charlie killed the Great Pumpkin, it was revealed that everyone the Great Pumpkin had killed had gone to hell.
Yeah, that's the best way to create humor, is to juxtapose things that don't go together, and the Peanuts and horror are definitely things that don't go together. Okay, Salem's in the chat. Great. He says, mine is a continuation of BC, taking place in a hospital haunted by the Blackfire witches. Sorry, couldn't stream with you guys. I'll get more into next time I'm able to talk. Don't worry about it, Salem. Glad you could stop in and tell us a little bit about the follow-up to Bloodfire Covenant. So... Really dug that story, and I love the illustrations by Omenomicon. Are you going to have another round of those by any chance?
We shall see if he responds.
If he responds.
In the meantime, Neville, la, pumpkin fatan.
That's yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought there were lowercase i's because I'm stupid.
Yeah. Peanuts and horror don't normally go together. There's Charlie Brown's existential horror account. Yeah, I guess it could. Sure, why not? But he's definitely got a lot of that going on. But it tends to avoid being outrightly horrific. Although if you analyze it enough and try to empathize with what he's actually saying, it is pretty horrific. All right, so
yeah.
Very
well. I guess quick thing with Salem. Salem just said hopefully if Omen is available. So yeah, we might see some more. But that does remind me. I'm looking forward to my story because mine will have a couple of illustrations for sure. And we'll be showing off one of the I don't want to say new Mythoverse talents, but one of the ones that I don't think has been able to showcase much for us, Bazal LeBlanc. So I'm excited for that.
Oh yeah.
It's always good. Another part of the goal of Hallowed Harvest in general is to showcase the up and coming Mythoverse talent. So I'm happy to give her some work and showcase what she can do.
Absolutely, 100%. Well, folks, so September 1st, we'll probably have another trailer up before then, once we get a little bit more art to showcase without giving too much away. In the trailer here, we basically had Neville and Dylan's work being shown off, but as soon as we have some more stuff to show off, we will put out another one of these trailers. And hopefully we can get Lenore to narrate it again. She's absolutely fantastic and super excited to work with us.
Shout out to Lenore. That narration, perfection.
She's really good. She doesn't give herself enough credit, but she's got a very wide range in her vocal talent. She narrated a short audiobook for our Patreon, The New Kid and His Impressively Magnificent Hat, and she did the whole thing in an English accent because that was what I was looking for, and she did a perfect job. So, yes, shout out to Lenore for sure. Well, anyway, folks, we're nearing the end of the first hour, and we've talked a lot about Hallowed Harvest and we've shown off a little bit about it. And right now, this is typically when I fire up a game, and if you guys want to just continue to talk about this, that, or the other, or anything that comes to mind, please do. And I will get my game going now.
You know, I gotta say, I find it really funny how we get these like nice, wholesome reasons for wanting to get into the Halloween spirit and making this thing from Dan and James, and I'm just here like, I just want to give children nightmares.
Well, you
that
know,
is a noble goal.
Yeah. Some of my most memorable moments from when I was a kid were when I was scared out of my shit. So.
I do have a story about that kind of thing.
Okay.
When I was a wee little Nebel creature, I went to my cousin's place. It was like an apartment complex, and we ran around and we went around doing the trick-or-treating thing. And you know, to give you some perspective, when I was a kid, I was the kind of kid that was scared shitless of the oleander bush that was outside of our house. And yeah.
Oh, sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you, but Neo said, actually, I think I may have quite a few horror stories in me. If that's the case, why don't you let us have a look at it? Maybe you can get into the next volume. Okay, sorry. Go ahead, Neville.
Oh, yeah. So, anyway, I was the kind of kid that was scared shitless of an oleander bush, so scaring me wasn't much of an accomplishment. So, at one house, we came up to this guy who did like he had this like really committed like vampire costume, and he like lunged at me and he squirted out some blood, and he actually managed to squirt out some blood, and it scared the shit out of me. I like screamed and cried and ran like a little bitch.
I remember to that point, yeah, adults that really lean into it and do their best really do a good job of scaring the piss out of little kids. Like I remember I was working with no, my mother was working at one of her part-time jobs when I was, I think, 6 years old, and she had needed me to stay with her because she couldn't find a sitter. And she was always teasing about, I can't let anyone know that you're here. So if I go somewhere else, you'll have to hide. And she was fucking with me, obviously. But so when she went somewhere else, she had me hide behind the counter, and then she had one of her friends come in and say, like, just creep around and say, I wonder if there are any children in here. I've been wondering. I cannot wait to find a delicious little child. Just whatever it was. That's probably not exactly right. That was a long time ago, but he scared the shit out of me. And I was, I never saw who it was. I just heard this very creepy male voice, and I was hiding for all I was worth behind that counter. And trying to be as quiet as I possibly could, but he obviously saw me and knew exactly where I was, and was enjoying watching me squirm. So,
Man, adults are just terrible.
yeah, they absolutely are.
I know, right? Oh my goodness. But yeah, there's actually. I don't know if it was Stephen King that said it, but I know there was somebody that said that the people who are best qualified to write horror stories are the people that really, really got the shit scared out of them before.
Oh god, yeah, definitely. Because I cannot describe how primal that fear was when I heard that voice. Because my mother did such a good job of building up how dangerous it would have been if I were seen. Because they don't like kids. She was just obviously screwing with me, but my god.
How?
They must have been planning that for a long time.
And eventually, when you grow up, you start to ask, is it possible to learn this power?
Yeah.
Well, Neville, I think you have successfully learned the art of scarring not just children, but adults.
Oh, that's the funnest part. I get to scar inner children, too.
Yeah. Nice.
I find it hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Full disclosure for the NSA, no, I don't actually go around trying to scare the piss out of children.
Today, anyway.
That's what fiction is for. Anyway.
Alright.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, indeed.
But yeah, I really like, one of the things that I really love finding is, like, I like finding local ghost stories that don't really make it outside of the town or don't get heard a whole lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what you're doing with your entry here. You're bringing in some lore that didn't even make it off the island necessarily, as far as a lot of people are concerned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, most people probably never even heard of a Tao Mona,
Yeah.
much less have any idea. They probably never heard of it, much less have any idea of, like, the weird specifics that comes with it.
Mm-hmm.
One of, there's a couple interesting specifics with them that I actually find really interesting. One of them is, like, the fact that they are apparently, some of the legends about them describe that they live in banyan trees. And the thing that was kind of cool about banyan trees when I started looking them up is that, especially in Guam, they kind of look like and they might actually be this. They look like a bunch of smaller trees that are wrapped together and slithering around the ground like tentacles.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I posted them a few times in one of the chats, but I can try and find a picture of them to show you, because, like, banyan trees are, like, legitimately kind of creepy, but kind of interesting.
I wonder if the tree's appearance lent itself to, like, the legend of those creatures.
Of like ancestor spirits living in them?
Yeah, because they happen to have an unusual appearance. Like, maybe it goes back to, like, someone got creeped out by one of those trees, and it's like, hey, there must be a reason for that.
There's
Like,
probably a bit of that, and there's also the fact that, you go into the jungle, you can probably get pretty sick going in there.
oh yeah, no doubt. I'm sure a lot of those things have been ascribed to spirits for people that didn't have the benefit of advanced knowledge. That's where a lot of
And,
superstition comes
And generally, don't go in the jungle without somebody watching over you is pretty good advice anyway.
Yeah. Forget spirits. I mean, the predators will eat you up.
Not to mention the mosquitoes and parasites and all kinds of other
Lovely things that'll
critters
just...
that are in there.
And the lurking nubbles.
And lurking nebbles, yes. But
You really gotta watch out for them.
yeah, the worst thing is disease, though, and infection, by all means. Absolutely.
Well, the good news is that Nebbles don't like tropical climates all that much, despite being from them.
True. Just if you're ever in the forest alone and you hear Kermit, know that you're doomed already.
God.
Oh my wa mo shinderu.
Okay, so finally the audio's fixed. I was gonna mention something before I cut myself off. I was gonna mention how Helen was gonna, or how when Helen's story, when she wakes up, Adobe was gonna, it's planned to be a factor in it. So yeah, I mean, I was gonna go more into it, but now I feel silly. I'm kind of embarrassed because I cut off my audio. My audio got cut off, and I feel awkward now.
Don't feel awkward, man. We're in the game phase, so you can talk whatever you want.
Right.
By the way, I found the trees for you, Dan.
You found the trees? Sweet.
I love finding weird trees.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's fun. I just realized, at least for the 3 stories of the people that are in here, plants will play some role in the story. For you, it's whatever those weird trees are. Dylan, are you okay if I say what plant? plays a role in
Yeah,
your
sure.
story?
Go. Yeah,
so
sure, go ahead.
for Nubble, it's the weird trees. Dylan, it's gonna be white roses, and for my story, it's gonna be Asphodel. This is legit Hollowed Harvest. We're messing with plants, yo.
This is the plant episode.
It's a plentiful harvest this year of plants and horror.
Speaking of Kermit, did you happen to see the meme that was posted on social media today about Kermit playing the part of Goku, and a smaller Kermit was playing the part of Gohan, and he said, when you give Cell a senza bean and tell your son it's his turn, or something. Oh,
Isn't the small one named Robin?
I don't
Yeah,
remember.
it's his nephew.
Yeah, so basically they had the Super Saiyan haircuts and senza bean, what are you doing?
Your turn, boy.
Yes.
Go on, get in there. It doesn't count if he's not at full power.
Jeez. You're an asshole, Dad.
And you're a bitch. Get in there.
Well, I mean, in general, the things that you dislike your parents for when you're a kid, depending on what it is, will have a tendency to help you later in life.
You know, killing a science experiment run amok might be one of those things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you just have to kill it, and then everyone's life is better for it.
You have to kill it, boy. Kill it. Now he's turning into Cotton Hill. Ooh, bash it. Bash it good.
Oh my god.
I killed Fitty Me.
Only a man with a narrow urethra wouldn't fight him at full strength.
What?
Well, you know Hank had a narrow urethra,
Hank.
right? So that
Oh, I'm not super familiar with whatever you're talking about.
no, it's just
King of the Hill.
yeah.
You
I
never
just
saw
know
King
I
of
want.
the Hill? Jake?
Nope. I really want to. I just never had the opportunity.
Yeah,
This is no ordinary Kamehameha. This is Hitler's Kamehameha.
I killed 50 men.
I killed Fitty Me.
So I have a question for the people who worked on Hollowed Harvest last year and have been on this year. Is it something you've enjoyed working on?
Oh yeah.
I
Uh,
did.
Yeah, I think this year I'm really like uh pushing my boundaries. I'm trying new things. I mean, even with the cover, I did like mixed media. That's like I literally painted on a piece of paper, went outside, smeared it in dirt, then got another piece of paper and I sketched on it, then went over it digitally, and that's how you got the cover.
And it looks fantastic. My brother was texting me during the opening part of the stream, and he said the cover was really good. So you have at least one fan for the cover.
Sweet.
Oh man, yeah. The last time it was really fun. Oh, by the way, I just want to release this fact about Hallowed Harvest after it's released. If you take all 5 stories out of the book and you arrange it in a pentagram and you splash lemon juice on them and you say "I killed 50 men" backwards 300 times, you'll look like an idiot.
Very well.
It's the truth.
I thought it was going to be an elaborate summoning ritual for the Samhain Shade, but no.
Well, he'll think it's funny.
Very probable. It might not be good enough for him to not ruin your life, but he'll think it's funny.
I mean, at that point, you probably would make something actually happen. Just for
True.
the sake of it.
Yeah, I'm very happy with what we've come up with for the Shade. I'm glad we were able to turn it into more than just a mascot for the comic line.
Right.
I don't know. When I was discussing the character concept with Dan, he seemed pretty happy with it.
Yeah, I think it fits in fairly well with the overall mythos that we're building in the Mythoverse. That being that everything stems from the imagination and the beliefs of the mortal inhabitants. All right.
Yeah, that's why I actually specifically described it as like a manifestation of man's thirst for narrative. Because I was remembering that conversation we had about it. I was like, yeah, that's actually a pretty good way to explain what the Shade is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Or you could just say he's an asshole and call it a day.
I
That
mean,
also works.
either is viable. He is kind of a supernatural dick.
Yeah, I'm super excited to see if people incorporate him into their stories in future editions of Hallowed Harvest. I'm really, really interested to see how they can weave him in, because that's something I want to see. Like, we've put the effort into canonizing him, so I want to see him at work.
Yeah, absolutely.
See him snickering at the idiots in the foreground.
Yeah, that'd be a fun meme image. Oh, I know what I'm doing for my chibi comic in October. Samhain Shade's gonna have some fun.
Perfect for October.
Samhain Shade prank war.
Yup, Samhain Shade versus Adobe. Adobe's like, actually, it'd probably be more like Althea. It's like, Althea's just like, I want chill Halloween, and Samhain Shade's like, no. That'd be fun.
Is it a prank war if the other side can't fight back?
Yes.
Very well. Then there shall be prank war crimes.
That'd be great. Prank war crimes. Neville, you continue to be a source of inspiration and endless entertainment.
Well, thank you. Yeah, the Samhain Shade is just kind of he's a really fun concept. He's kind of interesting.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you did such a good job with the original image that we were able to give it such a good concept.
I mean, admittedly, a lot of my a lot of the images in my head of him are probably wildly inappropriate for like the tone of other people watching him or witnessing him or being part of his designs. Like somebody is like like a dude is just skewering some people alive in a way that he thinks is funny. Is just snickers like, okay, be cool, be cool.
No, he's. I don't know. I don't think he would directly harm anyone. It's just through the
I mean, he's
manipulation of
watching.
events.
Yeah, he's watching it play out, and he's got his snickering like that just because it's going the way he wants.
Yeah, I guess he might occasionally reap some souls just for shits and giggles. He does have that. I forget what the original image is. Like an eagle scythe or something.
Oh, that's a harp actually. It's a
I
harp
thought he
that-
also had a scythe.
In one of my older designs he did, but it didn't. I didn't end up putting it in there because, I thought it might be. I didn't want to necessarily evoke Grim Reaper too much. I kind of wanted him to be like a grim bard.
You're right. I don't know why I was remembering that as a scythe. Maybe you're
Probably
right.
because
Maybe...
it had a long beak, because it was a crow.
Yeah.
Hey, no fighting.
Oh, check that off the bingo list. Chat. Brett said no to Leo.
No small cat.
I swear I just remembered him carrying a scythe and the blade of the scythe was just a big bird head. We'll just chalk it up to Mandela effect, lol.
It's it was more inspired by the I think they call it the Harp of Aaron. You know that like harp that they have on like the Guinness logo and that kind of thing?
Yeah, it's like one of the national symbols of Ireland, actually.
Yeah, that's kind of what I based it on. Kind of a Harp of Aaron, but like, I guess because it has like a crow or a raven on it, it could be a Harp of Morgan. There's a
I
little
guess
lore
so.
tidbit for you. I mean, that's just the deep cut stuff that informed the design. It's nothing terribly. I'm not sure it plays that much of a role unless people who play with the character decide it does.
Hey. Would it be fair to say at this point in time it's too soon to tell?
Yeah, people don't really know that much about the Shade other than it pops up at Halloween and it wants to tell you a story, and if you don't, he's a real dick about it. And
Amazing.
he goes a little far in the name of entertaining himself.
Kind of amazing how like he started out as just this mascot for the brand, and now he's sort of grown into something beyond that.
Like Sasha?
I think that
she was ever anything
Sure.
more than just eye candy.
Well,
Sure.
she was originally planned to just be the mom character, and it's like she's grown like. Who left?
That was Neville Badong.
Oh, yeah. She was just gonna be the mom character, and then Victor drew her like really hot, and then I started drawing her.
Yes, we have the creativity of the team at the Mythoverse to thank for the growth of what would have otherwise been unimportant side characters.
Right. Oh yeah, Sasha's gonna be in the spotlight here pretty soon, and so be on the lookout for that. Yeah. and it's nothing lewd or anything, so.
Audible disappointment from the crowd. Welcome back, Neville.
You can't kill me for that long, motherfucker!
I didn't try
Well,
to kill you.
Well, I will say this.
Oh
It
no, I
will
was
be.
talking to Discord.
Well, I will say it will be an audio thing, but wait till you see who is going to voice Sasha. I will refrain from saying who, but we got somebody. People might be familiar with if they are anime fans.
Man, you created a clone of Sasha McKenzie in real life to voice Sasha McKenzie. I'm thoroughly impressed, Dylan.
God damn it! Oh my god.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry for spoiling it, everyone. My bad. I can't contain myself.
So yeah, be on the lookout. Yeah. I don't even know where to go after that. Jesus, James.
Now a word from our sponsor, Neville.
Yes. Are you tired of sleeping soundly?
Yes.
Are you tired of not waking up screaming in the middle of 3 a.m.?
Yes.
Well, that sounds like your problem.
And that was a word from our sponsor, Neville. Womp womp Kermit voice.
And now the weather. Fucking Night Vale. And now the weather.
Clear skies with a slight chance of
Pumpkin precipitation.
Yep, pumpkin precipitation. Followed shortly thereafter by wolf corpses.
Man,
Yeah.
Paige really been busy this weekend.
The mayor's office reminds you not to collect wolf corpses in baskets, as they are the government's wolf corpses.
If approached by a stranger in the midst of the night, be sure to have a story on hand. We highly recommend writing several down and keeping them on your person at all times.
And reminder, do not go to the dog park.
The government doesn't want you to know this. But those ducks at the park, they're free.
I was doing Night Vale, but yeah.
Yeah.
The government doesn't want you to know this.
The government doesn't want you to know this. But the ducks are free.
The government doesn't want you to know this. That, that the
I'm
commissioner
gonna-
ripped a big fart in the bathroom. They don't want you to know that. That's a little
Ducks
embarrassing.
at the park are free. You can take them home. I have 458 ducks.
Oh, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm kind of retarded.
Funny. The funny thing is that that doesn't actually originate with Alex Jones. It starts with somebody on Twitter called Wiener Dog for Life.
Right.
Wiener dog.
It then turned into a copy pasta. Alex Jones went just as one of the most famous.
Oh. I am desperately searching for a channel where I can hold down my push to talk button without spamming.
What?
Okay, there we go.
I think we fixed that.
Do we not need push to talk anymore?
I don't
We
know.
shouldn't.
We do not need it.
Thank fuck. Give me a second.
Yeah. That was annoying, and because so my tablet acts up when it's on the charger, right? So I had it on, but it kept taking me off.
Okay.
'Cause-
Now we can go to the rapid fire ad-libbing you normally expect from me, and then are disappointed doesn't happen.
Very nice.
He's gonna drop some bars on us, guys.
That's right.
Oh, I thought you
Mostly 2x4s.
Oh.
2x4s. Yes. I mean, I think plumbing pipes are a much more adequate choice for beating people with.
True, but it's hard to hold them between my butt cheeks.
Excuse me. Jeez, dog.
Listen, for this to work, it needs to be held between my butt cheeks. It's Fey rules, alright?
Bay rules. Okay.
That's right.
This is we're going into the deepest Mythoverse lore.
That's right. A 2x4 can kill most creatures if you take swings at it while holding it in your butt cheeks. Try it. Kids, don't
Maeve.
try this at home. Try this at school.
I just want to draw an image of Maeve saying, "Where can I learn this power?"
Oh my goodness.
From a Jedi.
Oh boy.
Don't dare. No, don't you dare. Don't you dare.
You can't stop Leo, Brett. Leo is going to take swings with a 2x4 using his butt cheeks.
I'm gonna draw Maeve as Anakin Skywalker. Where can I learn such power?
Is it possible to learn this power?
Oh, right. Is it possible to learn this power?
From a Jedi.
But from Dylan, yes.
Not
But-
from my mommy milkers.
See, now I have this image of Emperor Palpatine holding a 2x4 like in his ass and doing that fucking spinny thing.
Maybe we should go back to push to talk for Neville. Jeez, dude. Okay. It's always funny, like the relative civility when Dan's got the reins, and then Dan's like, "All right, gaming time," and then Neville comes out.
The minute it's not even that I have control, it's that the minute I get involved, it turns into a shit.
Yeah.
God damn it!
Dylan, would you like?
Nobody's in charge.
Oh my goodness.
This is what
It's
anarchy
kinda-
looks like, folks. A 2x4
It's kinda
clenched
ro-
between your butt cheeks.
This might possibly prove that Dan is less the guy in charge and more our Tard Wrangler.
Nah, he's both.
Yeah, I find it.
I can only be wrangled for an hour.
I find it's best that you need to work off your nervous energy. That's why I do the serious stuff first, and then
Yes.
you guys do whatever you like afterwards.
Well, we appreciate the both.
It's a years of
Admittedly,
experience
there's
as a parent.
This is no longer the Mythoverse, it's the Mytho family. It's just Dan trying to wrangle dozens of unruly children.
The Creator
Yeah.
Club is me in all of these.
Yes.
Wait.
It's just the fucking gif of Deku.
Like just burning the fuck out.
That's just me. That's just me in every one of these packs.
Oh my god, no! I wanna draw a picture of Maeve like with that expression and shit.
See, I mean, I feel like that'd be more appropriate for Brittany.
Yeah,
or-
that would
or-
be very appropriate for Brittany.
Oh shit! Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I could draw her like that.
New animated reaction gift for the server, Brittany spurging out. That would be amazing.
It's general.
What I would imagine is you guys remember that one episode of The Simpsons where they make Homer the head of the union at the plant, and then at the end, they're trying to, or he's trying to negotiate negotiate new benefits with Mr. Burns, and Mr. Burns just decides to give whatever he wants, even though Homer doesn't really do anything, and then Homer just runs around on the floor like,
Yeah, he does the fucking Curly Howard thing.
yeah,
Where they
Ben.
turn-
Yeah.
And Mr. Burns is like, I think I was arguing with I think I was negotiating with a moron.
Think.
and you were outplayed. How does that feel?
That's
you were
what
outplayed by Curly, Mr. Burns.
That's how That's what I imagine Brittany spurging out looks like. She's just running around the floor.
Imagine how humiliating that would be for anybody that she actually outwits.
I've been outwitted by I've been outwitted by a moron.
No, you've been outwitted by a half raccoon, half human hybrid.
Squirrel tactic.
Who has more teeth than brain cells?
Well, there's a lot of brain cells in there. They just bump into each other a lot. And they usually go to weird places. Mostly what's in your garbage. And your
Yep.
phone history. And you know what's going on in your in that little maze outside your house.
Yikes. Yeah, she's actually watching Dan right now, who's like taking notes on his gameplay.
I hope not, because I just ran straight into a mechanic and died. I was doing fine until this one moment where I was just a millimeter too slow.
I didn't know a millimeter was a unit of time.
It isn't.
Yes.
Does that mean that seconds are a unit of speed?
Well,
Yes.
don't you remember that you can do the Kessel run in parsecs, apparently?
Yes.
So I'm mixing and matching.
What? You can't?
Perfect.
Admittedly, I'm not sure if this is just a Californian thing, but I always measure distance in time rather than.
No,
actual distance.
that's pretty common. We do that a lot here in Michigan.
Okay.
We say how far away something is in terms of time, like how long it takes to get there.
Okay. I am glad. I am not. Well, I'm weird, but not in that particular.
Or it's just me and you are the weird ones and everyone else is normal. That's also a possibility. So, Dan, are you playing Final Fantasy XIV?
I am, yes. I play it with Brian from Rags quite a bit. By quite a bit, I mean whenever I have a free moment, which is not often, but we do have quite a bit of fun together.
Yeah,
I
I
mean, it
haven't.
looked like a
I
fun
haven't
game.
I haven't renewed my subscription in a while.
Yeah, if you played when it first came out, then it sucked.
Oh.
But recently, like 5-6 years ago, I believe, is the timeline when they essentially did a realm-wide reboot of the entire game, and it actually worked it into the game's lore, and it is fantastic now. Like, the storyline on the last 2 expansions was out of this goddamn world. It was so good. I finished the last expansion, and all I had to say to Brian is, how does WoW still exist after that? I mean, the story is that good.
Oh, Nebel,
Yes.
if you want to start gaming together, I would not be sad to pick this up.
Yes, please do. Please do. You will love it.
To answer your question, Dan, there's a reason people call it World of Warcraft.
Yeah, but that's true of any MMO, really.
Yeah, it's just when you compare the two, Final Fantasy XIV makes you feel like you're the main character in an epic anime. You know, WoW, you're just a random adventurer.
Actually, I would argue that WoW was better when you were just the random adventurer. Now it's got this weird, like, there's this weird Chosen One vibe that's been going on, like, since Wrath of the Lich King. And at least in Wrath of the Lich King, it kind of made more sense. And from that point onward, it started getting kind of weird. And it keeps ramping up like how powerful the player character is while simultaneously like not being a named character in the lore in general.
Yeah,
it's weird.
They get around that in Final Fantasy XIV. Like, you are that kind of a character, but they spend the first 50 levels building it up, and they do such an incredible job of how they reveal it and flesh it out in the later 2 expansions. And on top of that, the NPCs that you party with are so well thought out and so well written and so well developed that you actually feel like you're adventuring with the cast of an anime, and it's fantastic.
So, can the entire game be played with friends, or was there a single-player section? Because I feel like I read a little bit about that, but I could be just dumb.
There are instances where you have to solo it, because for your job quests, for example, you have to play it as that job solo for lore purposes. But I've been playing with my daughter too, and there's only a couple of times when we have to break parties so she can do it solo.
That's wholesome. You said you play with your daughter.
Yeah, she does. Like, my character, as you can see, is Adobe Kroger, and she named her character Violet Kroger, as though it's like a daughter Adobe has.
That's adorable.
Yeah.
That's too wholesome.
Yeah. So if you guys...
I don't understand how you exist in this world.
Well, guys, I posted something in Career Club. My sister sent me. I just, oh my god.
I've seen this.
Look what they need to do to mimic a fraction of my power, Stu. Not bad. You made me use like 1% of my power. I don't usually go above 0.5. I don't know how good my Shaggy is. I'm just talking.
You sound.
Like, I don't know, man.
I don't know, man.
You said. Okay, you sound like Bill Clinton if he got kicked in the balls or something.
Womp womp.
Womp womp.
But yeah, if any of you guys want to...
They need to mimic a fraction of my power, Scoob.
No.
So if you guys want to pick the game up, yeah, Brian and I'm sure would be happy to have you join us.
Like Zoiks, man. No, I can't do it either.
There was a guy I used to work with back at Walmart who could do an almost dead-on impression.
Okay, so that Midori thing, I want to draw like Brittany in the chair, and next to her it's Lucy.
Just looking on, concerned.
Just like.
I think we also need to give of Brittany doing the curly run.
I mean, when Airwave starts coming out, we will absolutely start doing these things.
Okay, don't we know somebody who can like animate kind of?
I mean, I can.
Right, yeah. Holy shit, yeah.
I haven't. Well, actually, I did animate something a while ago.
Oh my god, yeah, you could totally like. You at least do the Brittany in the chair thing.
Yeah, I mean, it takes me a while, and I need to devote time to it. But yeah, I could do it.
That's the one bummer about animation is how time consuming it is. There's just not an efficient way to do it.
Yeah. Let's see here. I'll throw like it's a very limited animation. The last one I did, but it is indeed animated. I've been meaning to do more of these, but I kind of Actually, like, there's a lot of things, a lot of projects I've been meaning to do, but they kind of got sidelined for me doing Hallowed Harvest stuff. So that gives you an idea of how important it is to me to get this stuff done, is that it sidelined most of my projects for the entire year.
Well, I am honored that this project is worthy of that kind of attention.
Oh, hold on, let me show you. There we go. Now it's alright, it's in the last animation I did is in Creator Club. It's a comic.
I think I remember this.
Yeah, I've seen this.
Yay. Decided to have her abuse her desk to the rhythm of Miserloo. The Agent Orange cover of Miserloo. I heard this like electronica remix of Miserloo, and honestly I didn't care for it that much.
Yeah, I don't think it plays as well unless you do it with like either by guitar or with like. Actually, have you heard the original version
The
of it?
original is a jazz tune, right?
Actually, the original's it's a Greek folk tune.
Okay. Because I think I've seen it adapted as a jazz tune later.
It
Or
probably
like a
was.
lounge tune.
Probably was. I mean, the original
And
had
then it became a surf tune.
it probably was because the original had a very slow tempo that probably would have worked for smooth jazz.
And then I think it's Dick Dale.
Yep,
Yeah, Dick Dale picked it up.
the guy who did the version that everyone knows because everybody saw Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, I've seen it.
I rest my case. I mean,
But-
I'm not complaining. I love Pulp Fiction. That's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, I love it.
He is good. So yeah, weirdly enough, the version of Miserloo I have is from a local like garage punk band from Orange County called Agent Orange. They're pretty. I actually really like them a lot.
I think I'd heard of Agent Orange. They were like they were one of the SoCal punk bands, weren't they?
Yeah, they kind of did like a punk surf fusion.
And question:
Yo,
can you use spears in Final Fantasy XIV?
Yes, there's a whole class
you can.
devoted to it.
Yeah, there's a Lancer class.
Hell yes, I can play my main character.
I thought they had a Dragoon class if you could use spears.
Yep, the Lancer becomes a Dragoon.
I know what I am playing.
Nice.
Speaking of which,
If we're sticking with the, we just play our OCs.
Yeah, Adobe Kroger mains as a paladin, but right now I'm playing White Mage.
Yep.
Just for shits and giggles, or are you trying to complete the quests?
Just so I can have a healer.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I actually main White Mage when I was playing.
Yeah, it's definitely a dynamite healer. I have so many, and the way that they work the combos together is very satisfying.
Yeah, I need to get into Final Fantasy 14 because what classes are there? I'll have to look them up because I want to see if I can make at least some sort of version of Helen, kind of.
Yeah, probably. There are three roles: tank, healer, DPS, and there are the way it works out. There are base classes: gladiator, marauder, conjurer, arcanist, and they specialize into jobs. Like the gladiator specializes into paladin, the marauder specializes into warrior, the conjurer specializes into white mage, etc. And as you go on, you can unlock specialist jobs that don't require a base class. Like Red Mage is a thing in this game, and you don't have to really have a base class for that.
Well, isn't it like you're not restricted to a single class when you start? Like you can swap between the classes and unlock just about everything.
Yep, they make it very easy, and all you need to do to swap classes is to swap what weapon you're holding in your hand, and that swaps out your job.
What, you mean being able to do all the content in a single character?
Yes,
Yes.
that's exactly it. Yeah, like you don't have to make an alt just to try something else. Yeah, so the conceit of it is like you have a soul crystal. That's this thing here that I'm pointing at, and when you get into a specialist job, you have a soul crystal that grants you all the memories of the previous people who have held that job. So that's how they, from a lore standpoint, say like this is how you learn everything. But
I don't know.
there's some really, really fun specialist classes. Like there's a class called Dancer, and you are literally like a dancing martial artist. Like all of your moves are dance moves. It's great.
That's funny.
Yeah.
The spirit of dead air.
But yeah,
Vamp has struck again.
I mean, that having been said, I still made an alt, mostly because I wanted to make characters after the healer characters for my for another project that I've been doing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
So,
shit! I could probably make one of my non-Mythoverse characters.
So you said you can do everything with just one character, right, Dance?
Yeah,
How
because
is-
the classes are just what are called jobs. So you learn how to do different things. Yep.
So you can be pretty OP if you put time and effort into it.
I'm
well,
just
it's
sure.
not like OP
I'm-
because you're not any of them at the same time. You
I'm
switch
sure-
between them.
I'm trying not to get like Skyrim flashbacks because that was one thing I did not like about Skyrim was that you could do everything in one playthrough.
Right.
Yeah, well, you
Well, I
cannot.
think for MMOs, it's better to be able to do everything, just because of the nature of them. Like it takes so long to do stuff.
Yeah, they do a good job of making all the content relevant, though, because every job has their own story quest that you can go on that's specific to them. And that happens frequently throughout the game. Like, you can only do this job as a tank, or this job as a healer, or this storyline as a white mage. And it's a good way to experience all the content, to experiment with all the different jobs. And you can do all the story content with like one job, of course, or you can do it with multiple ones. But this more than any other MMO that I've ever played makes old content continuously relevant, because you're constantly going back to old places. And even I've never actually seen an MMO do this so well. In this game, as you progress and as you unlock different parts of the story, you actually encounter random quest givers that you encountered when you were like level 15, and they're now soldiers in your army, and they said, "Do you remember me? You helped me find poison for my grandfather." And you can lie and say, "Sure, I remember you. No. You're that guy from that zone back when I started last year, right? I don't have any idea who you are." But anyway, yeah, so they give almost every little quest giver that you bump into an eventual backstory and develop them. It's pretty neat. Looks like one of our guides is getting food. So...
Now for a word from our sponsor.
Exactly. So I will dance.
Train.
Now is the time where we dance.
Honk, honk, honk.
Well, if we do the if we get a bunch of people in the Mythoverse playing Final Fantasy 14, then that's more content for the channel right there. We just record the sessions of absolute chaos and trolling
Yeah.
Is it cross?
with occasional progress.
Yeah.
Is it cross-platform or no?
Yeah, you can play it on the PS4. I don't know if you can play together with people on PC. but it's on Mac and Windows. I know that much.
Oh, okay. Oh, well. Oh, that'd be cool, though. Like, all of us getting together.
I think you can play with people if you're on PS4. But I will double check that for you.
Here, I'll Google it right now.
Some Google foo.
Crossplay guide.
How much does a subscription go for?
Well, you can do a free
It's
trial for a
15
month.
a month.
Yeah, you can do a free trial to see if you like it, but you have limited features. But yeah, like you said, 15 a month.
Not bad.
Yeah, it's pretty standard for MMOs.
Yeah.
Just I think WoW raised their price like what up to 60 a month.
Did they? Wow.
I don't remember that. Nobody told me about that.
I might be
As far as I
misremembering.
knew, it was. I mean, maybe Shadowlands changed that, but up through fucking Beat of Azeroth and Legion, it was still 15 a month.
That was wrong. It is 15. It is still 15.
Yeah,
a month.
I don't imagine that they would change it.
Yeah, I mean they're.
You just have an option to pay more in longer intervals, or for
Yeah.
longer intervals.
Yeah, I looked it up. It's like $42 a month gets you like 3
Well,
months.
looks like as long as you're on the same data center, you can play together cross-platform.
Yep. And it's not guaranteed that you'll be able to create a character right away, but I wasn't able to either when I started playing with Brian, and I just kept trying until I could get it.
What do you mean by that?
It didn't take too long. Like sometimes the servers aren't accepting new players. Like my daughter recently had to wait for an evening before she could join me. But you just keep trying, you'll get there. It depends on how busy they are at the moment you sign up.
Gotcha. So we just gotta make sure that the characters we make are on the same data center.
Yep, and that way we can play together.
Gotcha. Can you have multiple characters on the same account, or is it one of those one and done type deals?
You can, but every now and then I run into situations where it tells me you cannot make another character on this world at this time because it's full at the moment. But then I was able to do it again like within a half an hour.
But that's a server issue, not a number of characters.
Game wide.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
It's a server.
So
issue.
yeah, so we could feasibly make our like separate characters just to get into the game, and then like make another character when we're ready to play all together.
Yep.
That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's so player friendly. Why don't? No wonder
Wait.
it's getting so popular.
Wait,
Yeah.
did you say it was a monthly subscription to play it?
Yeah, monthly subscription
To
to
get
play
the
it.
full features.
Okay.
Which basically means that after you have a character that is above a certain level threshold, you will need to pay for the subscription. Which I do. I'm trying to remember how high. I think my main is like 50 something, maybe 60. I know I did like the first raid, not when I last played it, or I finished like the first few raids.
If you're at 50 or 60, then you're all set to do the best content in the game right now. Like
Yeah,
the storyline in Heaven's Word, which was the level 50 on expansion, was superb. But then it was immediately outdone by what came next in Shadowbringers. Well, first there's Stormblood, but Shadowbringers was the latest expansion, and that had the most amazing story. It was great, and I'm hard to please when it comes to this shit, and I was very happy with how everything was resolved. Like Brian kept telling me, "You're gonna love this story. You're gonna love this story." I'm like, "Okay, chill, just relax." And it turns out he was right. It was wonderful.
But yeah, the two characters that I play a lot. I mean, the two I play are a white mage and a black mage.
Haha. Good. So I have a red mage and a blue mage. We just gotta get a party with all mages of all colors of the rainbow.
Entire
The all mage party. Let's go.
Well, with the blue mage, you can do that because that's kind of like a joke class. It's like it's a class that it's like a single player meta mini game almost, where you learn spells by copying what monsters do, but to do that you have to actually fight them and risk being killed. So it's a very impractical way to learn magic. But you
impractical but hilarious.
But hilarious, yeah. So the meta game of the Blue Mage is that you travel around the world and learn spells to fill your Blue Mage spell book. And the idea is you're supposed to complete content with an all Blue Mage party as an achievement. But you can actually run parties with preformed parties with a Blue Mage tanking.
Oh man, I just remembered that was a mechanic they made in Final Fantasy VIII, the draw feature.
Yeah,
you had the,
I think it's
Dan. That sounds like content for the channel.
Oh yeah,
a challenge run. Oh, I'm down. I'm 100% down if we can organize that.
Of course, yeah. It's actually you just got to get a character to level 50, and then you can unlock the Blue Mage job, and it's an entirely like separate way to play the game because it literally breaks the game as it stands to have Blue Mages in it, which is why they're kind of restricted to certain types of gameplay. Like you can't use the random duty finder as a Blue Mage, but if you have a preformed party, then you can, run dungeons with them. And I did that with my brother and nephew the other day, and it was hilarious.
Yes, I have collected much. I have collected much arcane lore over my travels. Now I cast punch.
That's literally what it is. Like one of the spells is sardine toss. Like you throw a sardine. It's great.
What is
missile,
this?
Fish missile. Fish missile.
I cast magic missile at the darkness.
The
darkness is perturbed.
I cast magic missile. Well, what's the nature of the missile?
We have
sardine.
Do you remember that trailer for that
Next.
Final Fantasy like game? It's like we have to defeat chaos or something like that, or they just kept saying it over and over, and it became a meme. I forgot what it was, but
I think I'm pretty sure it was a Final Fantasy game. But remove Coas.
Don't say remove Coas.
Remove. God, it is hard to be a Warhammer fan currently.
It's hard to be a Warcraft fan too. You deal with it.
What did Blizzard and Games Workshop just like have a bet to see who could
themselves the fastest
and lose their customer base the fastest?
That's a good question.
Wait, what happened with Warcraft?
Warhammer.
Both. Okay, Blizzard is under fire with allegations of, shall we say, harassment involving.
Oh, I knew of that.
Allegations
I didn't know
of
that
woman respecting.
Yeah.
Maladian. Allegations of Maladian.
Yes.
Whereas Games Workshop rolled out a draconian copyright infringement policy, where basically they can now they say they can DMCA you for making fan animations, and one of the Brava Alphabusa who runs If the Emperor Had a Text-to-Speech device had to made the decision recently to end the series because he didn't want to receive a cease and desist letter from GW's lawyers.
Right.
Fucking dumb.
Wait, is it just fan animations or is it fan art too? Because
whatever they happen to notice.
I mean, because I drew a not safe work art for one of the Sisters of Battle. So.
Uh-oh, Dylan. Get ready to be GWCA'd!
Yeah, let's go, boy.
But yeah, but their policy seems to only include only fan films and animations. So, yeah, text-to-speech device gone. The Last Church, They tried to take it down, but other people have uploaded it to other channels. So
It's,
Alright,
do they not know how communities are built around IPs? Like how many fans did that series make of Warhammer that may not have even known about it?
I can tell you, there were thousands of people who got into Warhammer just watching the Astartes miniseries, and then they scooped up the guy who made it and said, "Hey, would you like to have work for us?"
Of course, if you're not doing it in exactly the hyper-realistic style and you're doing it as a goof, you're pretty much screwed.
Right.
And now they're taking all the fan animators they hired, and they're locking all their content behind their streaming app.
What the hell? Okay, so I kind of want to draw one of the Sisters of Battle, like have like a marker writing on her ass, and it says DMCA this. Or DNC this.
You mean CND this?
CND this, blah, sorry.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
to answer your question, Dan, the only thing that I could think of that makes any sense is that they're under this mistaken impression that if they control the content, they get all the money.
Oh, gotcha.
Like there was any money being got from these in the first place. Aside from like patronage.
Yeah, I think that was probably the best advertisement on our part, is saying, "Hey, you can make whatever the hell you want. Like, go ahead. You know, just like, hey, go nuts."
That was why I made that. That was why I made that tweet.
Yeah, exactly. I think that was the best advertising on our part. Is like, hey, we're not assholes.
Hey everybody,
we're
not assholes. Buy our shit.
Yeah.
Okay, do you guys want to?
Come on, games.
You guys want to see something really wholesome? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Here.
Children screaming in terror.
Oh well, it has to do with children, but all right.
Damn it.
So this is one of the cool features about the game, is when you join a guild or a free company, you can purchase housing that you can share. Player housing is a thing that was promised in WoW for a while and was never delivered, but in this game they deliver it and then some. So we go inside here, and
I mean, it was kind of delivered in Warlords of Draenor. They basically gave you a whole town.
Yeah, it's true, but this is actually housing that you can furnish and live in and all that fun stuff. So yeah, you walk in here, you got your NPCs that can repair your gear and buy and sell shit. And down here is the basement, and we have like a little kitchen here with food that you can eat to give yourselves like well-fed buffs, and you can sit down and have a little meal here. It's cute. Let me go up here and show you the upstairs. And then I'll get.
You designed this area?
No, our guild master did, but I designed my own private quarters, which I'll show you in a second. Yeah, but these are all these decorations are things that you can either earn in game, or you can purchase from the vendor downstairs, or you can get it off the auction house, or you can craft it. You know, it's all cool stuff. So in here is the player housing. So I'll move to my private chambers, and this is the room that I furnished in here. So I have here a little spot by the fire, food, little instrument. You can sit here. Here's my writing desk where I'm writing my next novel, and then of course a hot tub, because why not? And over here is my daughter's room. So she's got her little bed that's in the theme of a carbuncle, because she's a summoner. And here's all the books that she's going to be reading. And there's all the books on her shelf that she'll be reading, because she's a voracious reader. She goes through like books in a day.
Awesome.
Yeah. So when we play together,
and by that we mean she eats them.
She eats them. Yes.
Yes.
She absolutely does. So when we play, we always hang out here for a little while and just goof around. And she loves to role play. She is so into it. So that's that.
I was when I was playing WoW.
Yeah, there's so much opportunity for that here, because you have so much flexibility over your character's emotions. Like here, let me go to the emotes here, and I'll zoom in on Adobe.
Where's the gamer word emote?
So I'll zoom in on Adobe Kroger here, and you can see that you actually have all these different expressions that you can make with your face. So if you want to role play, you can literally do this while you're talking. So it's pretty neat.
Adobe Kroger says, I'm going to say the gamer words.
Yes, absolutely.
And you cannot stop.
Well, I hope we can get something organized because you are making a very compelling case, Dan.
Well,
to pick up the game.
Absolutely, we'll check it out. I'll message you what world we're on, and if you're able to get on, then just let me know, and I'll shoot you a friend request and get you invited to the company so you can come hang out and see if you like the game. And if you do like the game, then we will absolutely get something organized. And there's so much content that's fun to do, just fucking off with your friends in this game. There's even like a roguelike dungeon that you can go to, where you start at level 0 and you got to work your way up the dungeon.
And you do that co-op.
Yes, you can do that co-op, and the UI.
That sounds like a good time.
And the UI actually is made to resemble Final Fantasy VI. With all the blue squares and the arrows and everything.
All these squares make a circle.
Yeah, let me.
All these squares make a circle.
Let me see if I can actually get into that, so I can show you what it's like.
I should probably upload the sketches I did of the healer cast somewhere. Wait. Every time I get wrapped up in a project, I completely forget that I have social media shit.
Yeah.
I completely forget that I exist anywhere outside of in front of my tablet.
Don't worry, Neville. You will always exist in our nightmares.
Oh, good.
It's true.
I'm more spread out than I thought.
Phrasing.
I regurt nothing.
Regurt nothing. Oh, that's brilliant. That's funny.
No regurts.
Yeah, I mean, trouble remembering what that thing is called. I haven't done it in a while. I can just Google it, I guess. But anyway, long story short, yeah. If you like the game, we will definitely organize some silly events. Like I can just go in as my blue mage character that I deliberately keep in my level 1 equipment because it looks silly.
Yes.
So that's my blue mage.
Wait, you wore your level 1 equipment?
Well, I glammed it up. I'm wearing like level appropriate gear, but I kept in this game. You can save glamour templates so that you can transfer. You
know what I did in my early levels, Dan? You know how I level every time?
How?
Naked, the way God intended.
Well, you can definitely do that.
I also hop around like an idiot.
Well, that's part.
Who doesn't?
That's part of the fun. That's part of the fun.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is the class I was telling you about. So with this, there's a whole mini game associated with it. So you have your blue mage spell book here, and there's about 102 different spells that you can learn on the world and in dungeons, and you learn them from monsters that you fight. So you have to risk death in order to learn your spells. But yeah, see, here's the flying sardine spell. So literally all you do is throw a fish at somebody, and it's completely useless, but you can use it to get their attention.
It's like throwing pebbles at monsters in Bloodborne.
Yeah, exactly. That kind of stuff. So
it's a taunt. It's not useless.
Exactly. See, the use of an item is only as limited as the user's imagination.
That's what this class
including
is
dead fish.
Because my daughter and I were able to just her and me defeat raids just by being creative with how I was throwing my spells around. Because there's such a wide variety of spells in this job that you can say, what if I did this and combined it with that and then immediately did this? It's actually a very, very, very fun mini game. All right, it's about 11, so I'm gonna have to call it for the night because I got work tomorrow. But let me go ahead and close this guy out here, and let me play the trailer once more, and we'll end on that note.
What are we ending on?
The trailer. I'm gonna play the trailer again. Yeah. So, anything else you guys want to say about it before we go?
Happy nightmares.
Happy nightmares. And on that note,
Happy nightmare.
Happy nightmares.
And so it is that in the month preceding that harvest and Sabbath, the Shade, that malignant keeper of lore, ventures into the world of man to collect new tales. Failing to find any of merit, he twists the bonds of fate to create his own, leaving gores carved with grotesque images of the unfolded events. Nicholas Stant, Unusual Folklore.